Semje Tamjigyo Dana and Nulia Sanjio Kovan to be Churdo Lamnyam Rimbati.
Good evening. So we're looking at this text, engaging in the life of a bodhisattva, which is a text about how first of all to generate the determination to live a life of great meaning to others, and to do so in particular by striving to become a Buddha for the sake of others. So the text presents how to generate the wish to develop the wish to generate bodhicitta, the generation of bodhicitta itself, and the training in the variety of practices of the bodhisattvas, in particular summarized into the 6 perfections. Last week, when we started to look at this text, we looked at the homage and expression of veneration. So tonight we'll start from where the author of the text, Shantideva, he presents what the subject matter is of this teaching that he was about to give. Within the great text from India, they all started with a number of preliminaries, such as an expression of homage and salutation or veneration. Thereafter, the commitment to compose, which would also include what the text is about, and then the purpose of the text. So the text would start with, all of the great texts from India started with these preliminaries. So immediately turning to the text, Verse 1, the first verse, we've looked at the first 2 lines, now the 3rd and 4th. Engaging in the commitment of a bodhisattva is what I will concisely present in accordance with Buddha's scriptural tradition. And the first 2 lines were expressed to the Sagatas endowed with the Dharmakaya together with their children, and all who are worthy of respect are humbly prostrate. So there we have the 3 jewels of the unique 3 jewels of the Mahayana to whom veneration was offered or prostration was offered. And the purpose for offering homage to the 3 unique jewels of the Mahayana is expressed now in the 3rd and 4th line, where the subject matter of this teaching is directly presented, namely engaging in the commitments of bodhisattvas. So in other words, this text will present how the activities that one engages in when one has generated bodhicitta in order to become a Buddha. So in the 3rd line, the term that has been translated as bodhisattva more elaborately would be translated as the Sugatas and their children. So the same expression as we had in the 1st line. So the way to understand this then, if we take then the 3rd line as engaging in the commitments of Sugatas and their children, in other words bodhisattvas, the meaning, this is what is going to be presented in this text. How to become a child of the Buddhas, in other words, how to generate bodhicitta, how to give rise to the wish to generate bodhicitta and its generation, and once that has been done, the activities of bodhisattvas, the way of life of bodhisattvas is also to be presented. So therefore, from the generation of the wish to become a bodhisattva, to the generation of bodhicitta itself, as well as the practices, the 6 perfections of the bodhisattvas, this is the subject matter of the text. So therefore we can read the 3rd line as engage in the commitments of Sugatas and their children is what I will concisely present in accordance with the Buddha's scriptural tradition. The 3rd line starts with the word engaging. You remember the title of this text is engaging in the bodhisattva's way of life. So here is the word engaging, from which the title was later drawn. What does then engage mean? It means to engage into or enter into or access the paths of bodhisattvas. And in other words, so engage we can understand as engaging in the path or the activities of bodhisattvas, the various activities that lead to enlightenment. So this is how to understand the word engage or enter or access. It's to be related to as a verb, and a verb in relation to the activities that lead to enlightenment. And here, the author of the text, or the presenter of this original oral teaching, was going to present these various activities in an abbreviated and concise manner. So this is where, from here, from this third and fourth line, is where the title of the text is drawn. The title wasn't something explicitly stated, but was drawn by, perhaps you could say, by the community from this third and fourth line. Here we imagine Shantideva explicitly stating to the assembled audience that this is what he is going to present. They'd asked for a teaching which was something new, a presentation of words they hadn't heard before. And here he is in the very first verse saying, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm going to present. The activities that a practitioner engages in to generate bodhicitta and thereafter to fulfill the aspiration of the bodhisattva, to become a Buddha for the sake of others. So here it's presented, as Shantideva is saying, he will concisely present the activities of bodhisattvas. So here the subject matter is presented just in a couple of lines. And then the fourth line starts with scriptural tradition, or Buddha's scriptural tradition. So this Shantideva is explicitly stating so as to prevent the doubt or the suspicion arising in the minds of his audience that perhaps this teaching that they've requested of something they haven't heard before is going to be his own creation. He's stating here clearly that what he is about to present to them is not his own self-creation, but rather a concise presentation of what the Buddha himself taught. What, in other words, all these trainings that of a bodhisattva that Shantideva is going to present, these can be found in expanded form in the sutras. He is not creating this teaching himself, but it's a concise presentation of the Buddha's teachings. So the Tibetan doesn't have the word Buddha in the fourth line, but that's been included to make clear what scriptural tradition refers to. So now to come to Genla's commentary, what Shantideva is saying, his teaching is similar to the scriptural tradition, which is another way of saying the Buddha's sutras. And this is being said again so as to prevent any doubt or suspicion arising in the mind of the audience that this is some self-creation from Shantideva, or he's going to present the teachings in a way that includes additions or in a manner that is incomplete. So Shantideva is saying, you can have confidence. What I'm presenting here is in accordance with Buddha's sutras, with the scriptural tradition, without any additions or any or incomplete in any way. Furthermore, to overcome any doubts or suspicions in the mind of the audience, and thereby to encourage them to have confidence in what he is about to present, to overcome the view that he's merely going to repeat what is presented in the sutras, he here states that what he's going to present will be a concise presentation. So in other words, a summary. It will not be the same as they'll find in the sutras. This is a summarized presentation. So here, in this line, he has overcome two doubts. One, that it's a self-creation, and two, that it's just a mere repetition of the sutras, but rather it is a summary of the sutras. Furthermore, the meaning behind the word concise or abbreviated is that the stages of training or practice that a bodhisattva engages in, I, Shantideva, are going to present it to you now in a way that is clear and easy to understand. And you'll be able to understand the wide variety of practices and trainings that a bodhisattva engages into without having to spend a lot of time studying a vast number of texts. This is the meaning of the presentation being concise. The sutras, the original teachings from the Buddha, include all the stages of practice that a bodhisattva engages in order to attain Buddhahood. All of them are there. And the students in the time of the Buddha, merely or solely through hearing these sutras, were they able to attain the various paths and later grounds and enlightenment itself. But in later times, when the students were not as developed as those who were living in the time of the Buddha, they needed to study a vast number of sutras. And some sutras were quite general in their presentation, others were quite specific. For example, solely teaching on emptiness. So therefore, a vast number of sutras were needed to be studied for the students to attain realization. And for example, if we take a sutra such as the Heart Sutra, which we recited tonight before class, without extensive prior study, those words lead to very little meaning arising in the mind. So relying solely on sutras, for example, such as that, it's difficult for students of later generations, such as today, to rely solely on sutras to gain transformative realization. Hence the need, especially for students such as ourselves, but also in prior generations, to have abbreviated, concise presentations where the meaning of the vast sutras are both condensed and presented in a way that is easy to understand, that is clearly written. So for students such as ourselves, we benefit greatly from presentations such as engaging in the Bodhisattva's way of life, where the vast sutras, their meaning is both condensed and presented in a way that is clear and easy to understand. When Shantideva gave this original presentation, he is already stating that the students in that time period were not of the same fortune as those in the time period of the Buddha. Therefore, they would benefit from a concise presentation, an abbreviated presentation that abbreviated or condensed the sutras. So that was the case back then. It was similarly the case in ancient Tibet, where if we look at, compare our conditions to the practitioners then, we can see quite a difference. So back then, to find a place that had the entire teachings of the Buddha and the commentaries, the Kangyur and Tengyur, this was quite rare. A place was seen as outstanding merely for having these Kangyur and Tengyur present, all the sutras and their commentaries. And so whilst the texts were rare and therefore extremely precious, because they were so rare, people had tremendous joyous perseverance, a deep aspiration, yearning to cultivate the Dharma within themselves, and therefore obstacles such as that could readily be overcome. Now we look at our modern time, the sutras and the commentaries, the Kangyur and Tengyur, these are readily available. Anyone can purchase them and have them in their computer, all at a few buttons, pressing a few buttons, and they'll all appear, as well as all the texts that were composed by later Tibetan masters. So now there's no scarcity anymore, and there's no difficulty in accessing texts anymore. But the yearning of students in general is not what it used to be, for example, in ancient Tibet. So still, today, we find ourselves in a position where, whilst we have all the texts readily available, we have no shortage of material, we find ourselves time short. We find ourselves in a position where it's difficult to make time from all our other activities to engage in study and reflection. So therefore, we too now, in our modern day, are very reliant on a text such as this, where the scriptural tradition or the Buddhist sutras are presented in an abbreviated form, a concise manner, and also presented in a way that's clear and easy to understand. Meaning in brief then of this line is that here I, Shantideva, present the scriptural tradition in a complete manner, just like the scriptural tradition. There are no additions that are my own, there are no omissions. It is complete and it's not my own creation. And what is here? How to generate the aspiration for bodhicitta, how to generate bodhicitta itself, and once one has done so, the activities, the way of life of a bodhisattva, all those stages of training that will lead to the attainment of Buddhahood itself, I will present here. And I'm presenting it for those who struggle to either access all the sutras or have the time to engage with them. So for them, I present the meaning in an abbreviated, condensed or concise manner. So one can, having heard this, having heard what Shantideva has presented in the fourth line here, one can approach this text, approach these teachings with an attitude of, this is a general introduction to the activities of a bodhisattva. How interesting, let me hear what is presented. That is one approach. The other approach is that from a practitioner's perspective, someone who aspires to actually develop bodhicitta in their hearts, to actually live the life of a bodhisattva. They wouldn't approach it in that way. They wouldn't approach the series of teachings as an academic exercise, as a mere gathering of knowledge. They'd rather recognize that Shantideva presented this teaching to me in a way perfectly in accordance with my needs in this modern time. So therefore, I should approach this teaching as being direct advice from Shantideva himself for me in how I should live my life, what mental attitudes to develop, and how to live my life. Thinking like this then, taking the approach of a practitioner, leads to two results. First, a deep faith or trust in Shantideva arises, recognizing that he presented this teaching for a practitioner just like myself, someone who wants to live the life of a bodhisattva, but struggles to have all the time and access to all the sutras and the commentaries. Therefore, one can have trust in him because he's presented this teaching for someone just like me. In addition to developing trust in the author, secondly, one recognizes that these teachings are being presented to me not only for my own spiritual development, but so that through my spiritual development I can be of real, meaningful benefit to others. I can live a life of great meaning and help others ease their burden of suffering. Because here he has presented the entire path for a bodhisattva to attain enlightenment through abbreviating Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings in their entirety. How kind he has been, how fortunate I am. And thinking like this leads to the second result, the generation of an aspiration to engage in these teachings and live the life of a bodhisattva. So the generation of enthusiasm for the teachings. And this then is how one should approach this entire cycle of teachings. Firstly, having trust in the source material, the trust in Shantideva himself, and secondly, an enthusiasm to put these teachings into practice, to take them as personal guidance. And the way then one starts each session of integration is with homage to one's lama, prostrations to one's lama, supplications for blessings, that these teachings touch one's heart and opens one to the magnificence of the life of a bodhisattva, and then engage with the teachings. So what I've just presented in that segment, in the previous segment, is there are two ways to approach this text, not just this class, but all the classes yet that lie before us. The one is as a mere intellectual exercise, a gathering of knowledge, hearing something new, being reminded of things one has heard before, and a gathering of knowledge. This is fine to do. There certainly is great benefit in approaching a teaching like this. But any expectation you'll have of your mind changing, of you developing as a person, it's not going to directly come. The second way to approach these teachings is to see them as composed directly for you. That these teachings are personal advice for you in how to live your life. And to be able to approach the teachings in this way, one first develops trust or faith in the author, in Shantideva, as well as enthusiasm for receiving these teachings. Through developing that trust and enthusiasm, your mind will open your heart will be touched by those teachings. This then will lead to your mind being transformed. This is how spiritual development will come about. So there are two very different ways that one can sit here and receive these teachings. The one is as an intellectual exercise, hearing something new, being reminded of things you've learned before. The other is to relate to it on a personal level, letting the teachings enter into your heart. And this will lead one to being able to live a life in accordance with these teachings. There's a sequence here, through developing trust or faith in Shantideva and developing enthusiasm for these teachings. This enthusiasm or aspiration leads to a vigor or zeal with which one will approach these teachings. This is virtuous. Immediately here one is creating virtue. One will also be feeling how truly fortunate I am. The other obstacles I have, time constraints and so forth, these I can put aside. This is something of great value. I am truly fortunate. I rejoice in my good fortune and the good fortune of others here. And I will not let this opportunity go to waste. So just from my expression of this, one can understand that a person thinking in this way, recognizing their great good fortune, and thereby will have the mind of not letting the opportunity go to waste. This is how aspiration arises within one, and this leads to joyous perseverance. With joyous perseverance, one with ease accumulates vast stores of virtue. And it's this accumulation of virtue that enables one to overcome the obstacles one has to actually cultivating bodhicitta in one's heart. So approaching the teachings as personal advice, directly for oneself, that serves to open one up, serves to develop enthusiasm and an appreciation for one's great fortune, as well as a recognition of the tremendous kindness of Shantideva in presenting this teaching, and thereby one is in a suitable position to overcome obstacles and cultivate the mind of bodhicitta within oneself. Now we come to the expression of the purpose of the text in the second verse. I have nothing to say here that has not come before, nor do I have any skill with words. I thus have no thought that this may be of benefit to others. I undertake this largely to acquaint it to my own mind. As an introduction to this verse, we look first at the start of the third line. It says, I thus, or it can be more literally translated as due to that, referring to the first two lines. But looking at the third line first, I thus have no thought that this may be of benefit to others. So why has Shantideva given this teaching with no thought of whether it is of benefit to others or not? Well, there are two reasons expressed in the first two lines. Firstly, that he's not saying anything that's new. He has nothing, I have nothing to say that has not come before, first. And then second, I have no skill with words. So therefore, it's not, I have no skill with prosody. There's nothing here that's going to touch your heart or open your mind, because I'm not very skilled with how I express myself, is the second reason. So therefore, because of the two reasons expressed in the first two lines, we have the third line, that this is why I, Shantideva, have no thought that others may benefit from this teaching. Staying with the third line, I thus have no thought that this may be of benefit to others. So understand this verse well. The others that Shantideva is referring to are those who can approach and study or engage with the sutras. So those who have access to the sutras and have the capacity to engage with them, to read them and comprehend them well, I have nothing to offer you. Because, as we see in the first line, I have nothing to say to you that hasn't been said by Buddha Shakyamuni already. You who can access the sutras, can read them and understand them and give rise to their meaning within your mind, I have nothing new to say to you. Everything that will be said here will be found in the sutras themselves. So those who already have a deep aspiration to generate the Mahayana Dharma through studying sutras within them, really, I have have no thought that what I am about to present here will be of any benefit to them. And Shantideva is also saying to those before me who are not particularly interested in the depth of the meaning of the Maya, of the Dharma, but are rather looking for something eloquent, something that's expressed beautifully, well, I'm afraid I have nothing to offer you either. So again, those who are looking for a presentation that is poetic in its expression, you are going to be disappointed. I have nothing for you here. The way we should understand what is presented here is that for those who have a deep desire to understand the Mahayana Dharma and who can engage in hearing, reflecting, and meditating based on the sutras, to you, I have nothing new to say. Because what I have to say, you will find everything in the words of the Buddha himself. But for those who struggle to access the sutras or to engage with the sutras, to you, I can be of benefit. What I have to say here will be of benefit. And for those in the audience who are not so interested in the meaning of the Dharma, but are looking for something poetic and eloquent, also to you, I have nothing to offer. But for those who do have faith in the Buddha and the Mahayana Dharma and in their spiritual teachers, who are yearning to develop bodhicitta within their hearts, to live the life of a bodhisattva, to you, I can be of benefit. It's important to understand the meaning of the words, because especially for those who are coming across this text for the first time, if you just merely read the words, you'll think to yourself, well, if the author has no thought to be of benefit to others, and that he's got nothing new to say, and the way he writes isn't particularly appealing, well, why should I read beyond this second verse? So here we need to understand the meaning of what is being said, to understand the meaning of what Shantideva is saying. Otherwise, we'll create an obstacle to progressing with the text. Having read those 3 lines, one would think to yourself, well then, why did you write this text? Or why did you give this speech? Why did you learn these words, compose this in your mind? And that's presented in the final line in the verse. I undertake this largely to acquaint it to my own mind. So instead of using the word acquaint, we could use the common synonym of habituate, familiarize, or meditate. Meditate on the meaning. So this is why the explicit reason that Shantideva is giving for why he composed this text, why he wrote this text and memorized this text and could then later present it. He did so as to habituate or deepen his acquaintance with the mind of bodhicitta as well as the practices of bodhisattvas. Again, hopefully it's clear why it's so important to have a commentary so as one can understand the deeper meaning behind the words, because if one just reads the verse in a translation, one may think, especially if one hasn't come across the text before, here we have an author openly saying he has no thought to be of benefit to others. He's just engaging in this activity of composing 914 verses for his own benefit. How's this going to be about the activities of a bodhisattva? What kind of way of life of a bodhisattva is this? And again, that will create an obstacle in one's mind to engaging with this text. Perhaps one will just close the book. Rather, we should understand that Shantideva is expressing here this teaching I'm about to present. This is a summation of the training process that I myself have lived, that this training process that has brought me to this point that I am at now. And I'm therefore sharing my life's work, my life's training with those, not with everyone, because there are some for whom it's not suitable. Those who can engage with the sutras of the Buddha directly and can easily access them and that their meaning can arise in their mind, they should stay with the sutras. But for those who, for whatever reason, cannot access the sutras or gain easy understanding of their meaning, but nevertheless have a deep yearning to be included amongst the ranks of bodhisattvas, those who have a deep yearning to alleviate the suffering of beings. For you, what I have to share, my life's work, my life's practice, this will be of great benefit. When you read the fourth line, I undertake this largely to acquaint it to my own mind. We should understand this acquainted to my own mind, or make my own mind familiar or habituated to this way of thinking, to understand this as being in the past tense, something that Shantideva has already done. His mind is already habituated to what is to be presented here. He has already gained experience of bodhicitta and the activities of bodhisattvas. And now he is going to share with us what his mind has long since been acquainted to. And he's doing so because in his audience, the intended audience for this text are those who also wish to walk the paths of bodhisattvas, to engage in the life of a bodhisattva, easing the suffering of others, striving to lead all beings to enlightenment. And it's for them that he is sharing his life's work, his experience. From my explanation, then, you can see a mere reading of these two lines, I thus have no thought that this may be of benefit to others. I undertake this largely to acquaint it to my own mind. If one just reads the lines without the commentary, one will take a literal meaning which is far from the intended meaning. To understand this verse well, then, imagine yourself at the teaching where Shantideva is presenting this oral teaching. He has a vast audience of practitioners before him, amongst them beings of varying skill and ability. So he's saying here, he's dividing his audience into three groups. And he's saying firstly, to those of you who are great masters, the great pandits of Nalanda, who have come to generate bodhicitta and are perhaps even Arya bodhisattvas already, based on the teachings of the Buddha, on the sutras, to you, I'm afraid, I have nothing new to say. You do not need to rely on this teaching. I have no thoughts that what I'm going to say here will be of benefit to you, bodhisattvas and Arya bodhisattvas, who have attained this exalted state, independent on relying directly on the sutras of the Buddha. That's the first group. The second group, then, those of you who have come here expecting a day of entertainment, a day of recitation, or perhaps hearing something new, or hearing something of great beauty and eloquence. I'm afraid to you as well, I have no thought that what I'm going to present will be of any benefit. But for the third group, for you, I think what I have to say will be transformative. For you who struggle to access the meaning of the sutras easily, but yearn to generate the paths of the bodhisattvas within your own continuum, you yearn to walk the paths of a bodhisattva, to live the life of a bodhisattva, to you, what I have to say will definitely be of benefit. So that's how to understand this verse. So that then is the essence of this verse. So how then to take this as personal instruction for oneself? Well, amongst those three classes of students, amongst the audience, we would find ourselves amongst those who struggle to access the meaning of the Dharma through the sutras directly. We find ourselves amongst those who require a condensed or abbreviated presentation that has been composed in a way that is easy to understand. So we are the intended audience for this text. How fortunate we are then. How fortunate we are to have met this text, to have the opportunity to receive a slow, precise, detailed presentation. And how fortunate we are to have the opportunity to reflect on the meaning of this text day in, day out, week after week, cultivating slowly over time the meaning, the essential meaning of this text in our heart. How kind of Shantideva to have composed this text, and for the entire lineage of great masters who have kept it alive over these many, many centuries. And I will now commit to engaging with this text repeatedly over a sustained period, not solely with the motivation to transform my own mind, but to do so that I can be of great meaning, of great benefit to others, to those who yearn for an opportunity like I have achieved, but have not achieved it for themselves, as well as for those who haven't yet even given rise to the wish to receive teachings such as these. For all of them, I will strive to develop these teachings within myself. I will apply myself consistently to what is presented in this text. And then we turn to, in our meditation, to our lama, to our yidam, to the Buddhas, seeking their blessings or their inspiration, that this virtuous thought that we have generated, that it rests deep within our hearts, and this becomes our motivating energy in all that we do. So that is then how to take as personal advice what to include in one's own practice from what has been presented here. And just to add to this, the way to approach each and every teaching session of this text and other texts is to take the teaching as personal advice, to guard the mind from engaging in a mere gathering of knowledge, a mere intellectual accumulation of knowledge. Whilst there is benefit in that, we all yearn for happiness. We want to live a life of great meaning. We want to fulfill our human potential. To bring that about, the way to relate to teachings is as personal instruction. So we need to gather the meaning of what's been said, to learn the knowledge that is being presented, but so not just to merely let the words wash over ourselves, but to learn to integrate the words, or to learn the words as a basis for integration through repeated reflection. So in this way, one approaches the text as receiving personal instruction with the need to integrate the words through learning them. In this way, transformation will come. And one can also approach the text as, so that I can be of benefit in the future, I need to both learn the meaning and integrate it into myself. Because in this way, I will be able to present this as advice to others in the future as I transform my own mind. And thinking then in this way, through every Dharma class one attends, the one will guard one's mind from a mere intellectual exercise, but actually be able to engage with the teachings in a way that will lead to transformation. So thank you very much, and then we'll conclude there for tonight. Thank you.